Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Pixel, and today on the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel we are going to be taking a very quick look at the performance and presentation of Shadow Warrior 3, running maxed out at a 1440p resolution. We played the game on our Sapphire Nitro RX 6800 XT graphics card, alongside the AMD Ryzen 7 5800X CPU. We also had the game installed on an M.2 NVMe SSD, and the system was rocking 64GB of 3600 MHz memory. All the footage in this video was captured using AMD Relive, and the performance overlay is provided by Radeon statistics server, so let's get right to it. Starting off with the visuals, I think it's fairly safe to say that Shadow Warrior 3 looks rather decent, albeit in a very video gamey kind of way. What I mean by this is that the overall presentation ends up being way more than the sum of its parts. The graphical feature set and the individual assets are not exactly impressive, but the way that they are assembled into a final image ends up looking at least rather striking. A lot of the heavy lifting in combat is provided by the insane amount of VFX that are going to be popping off all over the place. Enemies for the most part appear to be well animated, but with so much happening on screen at any one time, it's unlikely that you're really going to be able to fully appreciate them. One thing that I will say is that I did personally find the amount of contrast on display did result in my eyes literally watering on multiple occasions. Granted, my monitor is fairly bright and I was playing in a very dark room, but I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I was most certainly suffering from a little bit of eye strain. In fact, even when I wasn't being blinded by the contrast, I still wasn't exactly finding the game to offer a comfortable viewing experience. It's kind of difficult to put into words what I was struggling with, as I'm not even sure that it's a visual problem, at least not in the traditional sense, but rather a difficulty associated with trying to process what I'm seeing. Combat, for the most part, is designed around tracking and prioritizing enemies, scanning for pickups and explosives, and constantly switching between close and medium range fighting, and yet, the game constantly obstructs your vision with the huge weapon models and effects work, not to mention the frequent camera shakes and locks associated with certain forms of traversal. Realistically, there is a good chance that my age is somewhat a factor, but regardless, this is not something that I personally struggle with in other fast-paced shooters such as Doom or even Overwatch, so I do believe that this is something that the developers could have done better. When not engaged in combat, there is a good chance that you're going to be partaking in some rather simple, yet visually impressive first-person platforming. Despite the actual paths that you'll be taking being incredibly linear, there is no denying that the scale and scope of the environments themselves are rather epic and undeniably beautiful. Performance-wise, the game puts out a fairly decent average frame rate, with us holding a solid 120 FPS most of the time. Unfortunately, however, if you take a quick look at our performance overlay, you'll see that we're rarely ever maxing out our GPU usage, and this is most likely a result of the game running on DirectX 11, meaning that we are frequently being CPU limited. To make matters worse, our frame times are not exactly stable either, which results in the game feeling nowhere near as fluid as what you would expect when looking purely at the averages. Also, the highly variable performance causes mouse input to feel rather inconsistent. In all fairness, the game does perform acceptably, it's just nowhere near as flawless as I was personally hoping. In order to try and minimize the stutters and moment-to-moment variance, I actually tried playing the game with a capped 120 FPS via RTSS, and whilst the variance was improved and the game appeared smoother, mainly due to sticking within my FreeSync monitor's variable refresh rate range, it did very little to alleviate the frequent stuttering, which, to say the least, is fairly disappointing. In conclusion, I'd say that the performance profile of Shadow Warrior 3, whilst somewhat acceptable, is still far from ideal. It would be nice to see some better optimization on the CPU side of things, and maybe a jump over to a more modern graphical API in order to avoid what is effectively needless bottlenecks to performance. Also, please do bear in mind that the Ryzen 7 5800X that we are running in this system is still one of the very fastest gaming CPUs on the market, and so your own mileage may vary, especially on older CPU generations. With all that said, that is once again going to be me done for today. If you're new to the channel, please do remember to slap that subscribe button and ring that bell so you'll be notified of our future uploads. If you've got any questions, suggestions or feedback, you can let us know by leaving us a message in the comment section down below. And as always, if you've liked the video, then leaving the video a like would be very much appreciated. For now though, from myself and everybody here at the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we'll catch you later. Bye bye.
Radeons are dead, and the gates are still standing. You are welcome.